Can we not agree that they're getting weirder? I feel like I see it a lot in sourcing. Oh, there's a spider. I was like, what is going on there? We see it a lot in sourcing. You know, it used to be that you're concerned about substrates. Now it's like, we need to have a fake leaves guy and a jar guy. And like someone in Chicago's like, does anyone have a balloon guy? You know, all sorts of weird things that we're doing for our clients. So as they get more unique and diverse, we need to change and grow and get more unique with them. It's not poisonous, right? Like, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, if it gets too close. Weird is choosing not to follow the checklist of normal, being yourself, thinking differently, and not being afraid to voice those thoughts, even if it makes you uncomfortable. There's probably nothing more uncomfortable than getting in front of a room of people and talking about how lame and geeky you are, but it is a very freeing thing, I have to say, and all of you should try it at some point. And I know you do with iLevel Academy, so that's great. Keep doing that. Because we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. So this, to me, made a lot of sense when thinking about the type of work that you guys do. We can't expect to try the same thing and get different results. That's the definition of insanity. So we have to constantly be reinventing the wheel, trying new things. And that outside of the box thinking comes from creative wackos like all the people in this room. So why weird? Well, weird can be innovative, and that is really exciting. This image really has nothing to do with weird being innovative, but I liked those hairy slippers, so I went with it. In an article by J. Denhart Lillard, he talks about innovation as a precursor to weirdness. So think about an idea like ride sharing, right? If someone had come to you a couple years ago and been like, I've got a great idea for you. A stranger is going to pick you up in their car. You're going to exchange credit card information over the internet. They'll have your email, they'll have your picture, and then they're going to drive you somewhere. Would you be like, yeah, sign me up? I would probably be like, that is very, very scary, and that's how murders happen, right? Like, that's the beginning of the Craigslist killer story. But now we've got Uber and Lyft and Airbnb. We're staying in an Airbnb this weekend. We've done it a couple times and are still alive, knock on wood. We should say this on Friday the 13th, I feel. And with a spider like over my head, sort of damn place, literally like, yeah. But we're gonna be okay, guys. Check on us on Monday. It's gonna be okay. But that is an idea that started out as something weird that turned into like this brilliant, innovative thing. And I'm sure we could think of a lot more. Does anyone have any off the top of their heads? Like apps or anything that at first you're like, oh, that sounded crazy, but then it was really cool. Facebook, yes. And now it's back to annoying. Like now I'm like, ooh. Anything else? I mean, social media in general is one of those ideas that I could see if you initially brought it up to someone, it would feel very invasive and weird, and you're like, I don't want any part in that. And now it's like we all almost have to do it. So weird eventually does become the mainstream. Is the interesting thing. What was that?
Pinterest is weird.
Pinterest. Yeah, that is so bizarre. It's like montaging, like, you know, like you used to do vision boards.
Yeah.
Which I used to like cut out clips from magazines and glue them on things and do things like that. So Pinterest is awesome, but one of those things that's very bizarre. Weird is differentiation. What if you're right and they're wrong? Does anyone know what this image is from? Very obscure reference here. It's actually from the TV show Fargo, and in the context of the show, it's the character who's like the murderer, who has this poster in his basement. So I don't mean it in a murderous way, but sometimes your ideas might seem like they're against the grain and actually they're exactly right. And if you think about advertising and some of the biggest brands, they are brand differentiators because they stick out. So one that I'm sure we could all name, if I say swoop, what do I mean? Good, the person who doesn't work at iLevel. If I say swoop, what do I mean?
That's the mascot for Utah.
Oh, well, okay. Swoosh. The swoosh.
Swoosh.
Ah, okay, see? I didn't know the brand name for it. That's terrible. Yeah, so you can see that symbol and you know Nike right away because they've differentiated themselves from the crowd. And that's what all brands want to do. So for us to go into a corporate space, and think that we need to all be cogs in a wheel is really kind of counterintuitive to achieving those types of advertising success stories. Anyone know of the term disruptor? Like tech crunch disrupt? Does anyone know what that is? Want to share? You're nodding.
Yes, it's basically it's a big convention where all of the super innovative tech companies and startups come together and they show off their new innovations.
Exactly. Beautiful. Exactly right. So big tech convention, and it's all about innovation. And they use the term disrupt, which I think is really interesting because a couple years ago, that was something that might have a negative connotation. Being a disruptor might not be a good thing. Now we think of it in this positive connotation because it's breaking from the norm. And I think that that is where the corporate space and advertising and what we do is going in general, is we want to be disruptors. Same with like hacking, hackathons. You know, hack has gone from being this scary thing where like we got hacked to like, let's hack this or hack that recipe or hack, I feel like it's almost used too much at this point, but you know, hack is making a change, being innovative, breaking out of the norm. So really in the corporate world, there's more encouragement to be different than we think that there is. Weird is never boring. The status quo belongs elsewhere. We start with fresh ideas, practical solutions, and a dose of ingenuity. $1 million question, who can tell me where this quote comes from? Yes?
Working jobs.
There you go. I really was expecting no one to know that, so I'm very, very impressed. And I'll tell you why. So yesterday, this is an inner workings core value. It's on the website. It's on the wall in our office. So yesterday I ran like a dry run of this presentation for my colleague Kelsey, and I asked her this, and she's like, I don't know where it came from. And I'm like, we are a foot away from the wall that it's on. And she didn't believe me. So I took a picture of her pointing to it on the wall. So that's like the wall in Chicago. The status quo belongs elsewhere. So you are literally being given permission by your employers to not think like the status quo. At least that's how I take it and have chosen to run with it. And so I think that that's a very encouraging thought. If we're putting that out there as our value, then certainly we believe that with our employees as well as with our clients. Weird is inclusive. Okay, I'm gonna make you guys do a little exercise here. Humor me. So I want everybody to close their eyes. Don't worry, I won't do anything bad weird to you. Just close your eyes. Okay. And raise your hand if at work you've ever felt like the odd man out. Okay, so keep your hand up. Raise your hand, and if you have your hand up, raise your other hand. If you've ever felt like the odd man out in a social setting or in a family gathering. Okay, open your eyes. Oh my God, we're all oddballs, right? So,
just like everybody else.
So, I'm sure you guys knew where that was going. But the reality is, like, nobody feels like they're the cool kid. Everybody feels like the oddball. Everyone thinks they're the one who kind of doesn't quite fit in. Well, if we just assume that none of us fit in and all of us are the oddball, we have basically set a new baseline for normal, which is that there is no normal. Normal is odd. And what's great when we get to that, nerding it up, infinite diversity in infinite combinations. Does anyone know where this quote is from? Star Trek. So this is the Star Trek idea, and you know, a lot of people probably like Star Trek for the space element, but I like it a lot for the social implications and the whole social utopia idea. And in this future utopia state, there is this idea of infinite diversity and infinite combinations. And I think if we think of that and take it to its fullest conclusion in the workplace, if we're including everybody's ideas, yes, there are going to be some bad ones, but by virtue of throwing them all out and letting everyone have a seat at the table, we're going to get to the better ideas faster. How's the spider doing?
He's gone.
He's gone?
It's in a light somewhere.
He's down. All right. Spider's not.
I've already done it.
Right? Everyone's like touching their hair. I'll make sure that I'll protect you guys protect me. It's teamwork, right? Okay. Weird is humanizing. So I really love this image of the empty suits. And oh no, no one's getting harmed today. Like number 1, safety first in I-Level Academy.
Just sunglasses falling off.
No, okay, not spider attacks. So think about when you go to a sales pitch, or maybe a sales pitch is like too aggressive, but any sort of client meeting. Usually you're not coming to the table immediately diving in with the content. You start with a little warm-up time, right? You talk about your weekends, you talk about something that you have in common, how are their kids, and why do we do that? Why don't we just like get down to business?
Create a connection.
Yeah, Salesman 101, create a connection, build a relationship, and the reason we do that is because it's humanizing. It takes us from being like negotiators across the table to being two human beings trying to solve a problem. And it makes it a more consultative process. Well, what's interesting about this is it works both ways. So believe it or not, many of you are probably more intimidating than you think. Like when you're doing your thing and you're being awesome at it, people might be a little bit intimidated by you. But if they know that you're the bass player in a reggae band that covers Fleetwood Mac, then suddenly you're like a little bit more approachable, right? I made that up at the off the top of my head, you guys. That's what I want to be. That's what I want to be when I grow up, guys. Yeah, suddenly you become a little bit less intimidating. And what I've noticed at Inner Workings is, everybody's got their thing. There are very high up people in the organization who you find out they sing in a barbershop quartet, or they're an amateur filmmaker. And when I have interactions with those people and talk about their passions first, I end up getting a lot more buy-in from them on whatever I'm trying to sell them, to be honest. So it's a great way to build connection and deepen connection that might already be there. And it just takes away that scary suit feeling and has that childlike exuberance. So, find out what people are into, ask about it. People love talking about what they're passionate about. But I think it's a really great way, if you share your passions, for you to also appear more approachable and easier to connect with. So it's not always about being buttoned up and corporatized and all robotronic, right? We want to be humans. So weird is how we get to the next thing. Don't be jealous of my cellular telephone, guys. Now, I don't know if we have some youngins here, but people know who this is, right?
Oh, sad.
Okay, good. Phew. Sometimes when I do trainings in Chicago, I have to things like this. They're like, let's say it at the bell. And I'm like, oh my gosh. We're at that point where I have to say what references are. Yeah, so probably when Zach was walking, now he made it look cool. But when Zach is walking around with this giant weird telephone, it seems like something that would never catch on. You'd probably see that and be like, that's not good. That's not cool. But it got us to the next thing, which was a streamlined cell phone that actually works, and that got us to the next thing. So sometimes you gotta churn through the bad to get to the good next thing. I remember I had this director in college who had a great philosophy on the way that he directed plays. He would give very, very little direction and kind of let the actors do their thing. And he would say, you guys are gonna naturally spin and churn out the bad ideas first, and that's fine. We gotta get the bad ideas out of the way to get to the good ideas. So I think it's about being willing to raise your hand and share a bad idea so that we can get to the next good one. And hopefully the next good one also comes from you. That would be good. But yes, weird is how we get to the next thing. Yeah. Weirdness at work. Yeah, maybe not at a client meeting, but run it by your superiors. Weirdness at work boosts creativity. So speaking to those in leadership roles, giving your teams the opportunity to free-form share ideas. Again, maybe not from the client if you don't feel comfortable with that, but it's a really great way for them to feel like they have buy-in, and it gets them to those great ideas that they wouldn't have had otherwise. So allowing everyone to have a seat at the table, to have a voice, really, really important. And boos don't hurt in getting people to share. So how have I brought my weird to training? It probably amazes you to think that I'm a little bit quirky in the training space. Though some in the Chicago office may find my Zoe Deschanel-like exuberance in the classroom a bit irritating. I'll tell you what, they remember all of the stupid little things I teach them because I use rhymes, I sing, I wear hats. I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself if it's going to help you remember what you have to remember to get out of this, and usually it's very, very boring technology. So you got to make it a little bit fun. And if you don't like Zoe, maybe you like Jack Black. He's another teaching idol of mine, one of the greatest teachers in School of Rock. So one thing that is an example of how I've brought my weird to training, you know, when I started in learning and development, I really wanted to hide my theater background. People have a very negative, and it's 100% right, connotation of actresses. You know, they're loud and annoying and attention-seeking, and I'm demonstrating a lot of that right now, so I apologize. But there were a lot of techniques and tricks that I learned in theater that I found translated really well to customer service training, to sales training. For example, a sales technique that I would teach is actually a very basic theater technique. So I'll give you just a high-level overview of this, but there is a very basic principle in theater and film, that a character is going for an objective in a scene. So it's a goal, something that they want to achieve. And a strong objective is going to be something that you know if you achieved it. So like a